Hello my friends, it is me, Simon Miller here on WhatCulture Wrestling, ready to give you the ups and the downs for Smackdown. But of course it's March 6, 2021, and on March 6th, it is the day we go out and we find our tightest t-shirts and we wear them as tight as we can. Also known as Laundry Day, but do not worry about that. And during a weekend where we are going to have a barbed wire death explosion blood match, that's happening on AEW tomorrow night, we also had another episode of WWE Smackdown as we start moving towards Fastlane, that annoying pay-per-view that's slap bang in the middle of WrestleMania. But that doesn't mean it was necessarily a bad show, but it doesn't mean it was a good show either, and we find out by taking this, the finger of power, and giving the good bits an up, and the bad bits a down. Fastlane, it's officially that kid you never wanted to have. I mean, we talked about this last week, but it's just getting in the way when you want to play with your real child, known as Gary. We'll call the other one Steve, so now WrestleMania is Gary, and Steve is Fastlane, and apologise to anyone called Steve. The point is, SmackDown started with Daniel Bryan coming out to cut an interview with Michael Cole, and we got another one of these weird situations. Because we were teasing that it may actually be Bryan versus Edge at Gary or WrestleMania, but first Daniel Bryan has to face Jey Uso later on tonight in the main event of SmackDown in a steel cage match, and if he wins that, he will then go on to fight Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Steve. Also Fastlane. But then they were also talking about this tag match that we were going to have at Fastlane or Steve, which was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso taking on Edge and Daniel Bryan. And Michael Cole had the really dumb question. He went, why Daniel Bryan? Why don't you want to do this tag match? And why are you going after Roman Reigns instead? And it was like, because that's the Universal Championship, dingus. That's what everybody is fighting for. We've been told this since 1983. Bryan also noted that nobody had even told him about the tag team match. Not Edge, not Roman Reigns, not no one. And I was like, man, you and me, Daniel, we are on the same page about this. I feel like no one told me about it either. He's also decided that he doesn't want to be the old Daniel Bryan anymore, and that he no longer cares about Roman Reigns versus Edge or Attitude Era versus Thunderdome. That's what he said. So we're going to take a time period and we're going to put it against a building at the WrestleMania main event. Could be quite good. Bryan then took this up a notch though, because he did say that he is going to ruin this dream match, and then he showed a video of him essentially being murdered by Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber, and then looked dead into the camera and was like, that humiliated me, I was embarrassed, and I am never gonna let that happen again. He's also wrestled more in the last 3 weeks than Edge and Roman Reigns have wrestled in the last 3 months, and that's why he's gonna beat Jey Uso tonight. He is gonna beat Roman Reigns at Fastlane or Steve, and he's gonna move on to Gary, where he will take on Edge, and he will have his own damn dream match. And I was like, Daniel Bryan, you've done it again, go and get him. So yeah, there was a lot of bizarre moments during this, but Daniel Bryan just knows how to get you so revved up like a car, and like I just say, now I actually want to see it. And maybe they do a triple threat, but I don't believe they're going to, but either way, it is getting it up. Amazingly, we weren't even done, because then out came Roman Reigns, who was mad. Obviously, every week. He also went straight into manipulating mode by saying that Daniel Bryan was nothing but an underdog who needs wrestling, but what he has to realize is that while we love this industry, we don't need it, and what we do need is Roman Reigns. You're right, Roman. I stand by this. I need you. Jey Uso then went nuts, as he's wont to do when Roman Reigns is around, and he grabbed the microphone and he's like, listen, Daniel Bryan, you don't need to be worried about Fastlane. You need to be worried about me in the main event. And then he went to jump him, but Daniel Bryan turned the tables on it because he's played this level before and he wasn't going to fall foul to it again. He then had a big stare down with Roman Reigns, and Roman just chopped his head off and wore it like a necklace. This all rocked though, and how they've worked Daniel Bryan into this position, I don't know, but it all comes down to characterization and it all comes down to promos. I, even though it's a little bit crazy, bought into all of this, and I'm happy that they're doing it. And then flub me, I think I was wrong, maybe, or actually we're going to do Baron Corbin versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, but they came out again as a team here, and while Sami Zayn thought they were going to have a tag team match, actually it was going to be Baron Corbin versus Montez Ford. I tell you what, it's fine. So yeah, I still don't think they're 100% on the same page, because beforehand, Sammy was all like, oh, Baron, we should be a tag team. And Baron was like, excuse me, sir, I am a singles competitor. Will you buzz off? And the best part of all of this was the ending. I have been saying for a long while here on Ups and Downs that we need to shine a bigger spotlight on the end of days, because it is such a good finishing move. And here, even though Montez Ford was getting the odd flurry, he then went smash bang walloped into that thing, and he just got pinned. It looks so damn good. But of course, before that did happen, Sami Zayn had caused the distraction. He'd interrupted Montez Ford's flow, which allowed Baron Corbin to hit the end of days. To bring it down, there it is, my distraction board. We only started this at the start of 2021. However, it is up to 33. As already said though, I'm not going to get as mad as I used to about them anymore, because if you do tune into WWE and don't expect this, you've gone crazy. Sami Zayn was all like, oh Baron, I helped you, so you have to help me. Baron's like, nah mate, and he walked off. And if only we had left it there, we were so close. The safe house was mere meters ahead of us, but you just had to go and kill one more zombie. Because as soon as we had done this, we did Sami Zayn versus Angelo Dawkins in order to bring balance to the force. And once more, it was just 50-50 booking. And I'm sorry, when you had this one after the last one, it did not work down. And what really caused that is that it ended with another distraction. Like Montez Ford was yelling at Sami Zayn's documentary crew, and he must feel very close to them because he was like, oh man, leave my documentary crew alone. He forgot he was in a wrestling match when Dawkins used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got the 1, 2, 3. This one was just too much, and it was back-to-back, and we have to bring down the board that soon. I mean, it only just popped back up, and now it moves up to 34. That is just silly in March. Carmella then fired Reginald. I mean, I don't think any of us could have been shocked given his recent actions, and I still think it may be a ruse, but he did bring her some booze, and she was like, no, I don't want the booze. You're an idiot. You keep hanging around with Sasha Banks. I told you I don't like Sasha Banks, and therefore, you're now unemployed. This was also the start for a horrendous night when it comes to poor Edge. Everybody is about to crap on his head. Dominik Mysterio then beat Chad Gable. I mean, this is a little bit like wrestling tennis in the sense you win one, I win one, you win one, I win one. But it was a very fun match. I mean, it started off with some great chain wrestling, and then they were doing all these high-flying moves and DDT before Chad was like, man, I'm just going to slow this down, and he started working over Dominik's leg. On the outside, Rey Mysterio was losing his mind because his boy was being beaten up. And it finished kind of simple too. After an awesome sequence of moves, Chad Gable went for the moonsault, he missed, and then they kind of traded the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-ups, but Dominik Mysterio had the better one. So we got the quick win for the 1, 2, 3. And yes, we could have done without another one of those, but again, it is WWE. And afterwards, Rey Mysterio just threw himself at Otis and took him out. So now I guess we have to try and wait to see what's going to happen with them. So while I do get it's a little bit random, everybody in this is so good, so it does provide me with entertainment. A very interesting segment with Seth Rollins followed, but before we do get there, we must do our recap. Because week 1, he had a water suit. Week 2, he was wearing a rug. Week 3, he was a cloud, but now in week 4, I don't even know how to explain the suit that Seth Rollins was wearing other than he looked like a pair of lips. Just this crazy bright pink thing, and he was wearing no shirt underneath. Seth Rollins' clothes game is completely a reason to tune into SmackDown. Anyway, he's all mad at Cesaro because of course he is, as last week he gave him a giant swing that lasted forever. I was like, Seth, I don't think it lasted forever. You need to look up that word in the dictionary. When all of a sudden, who walked by his side and said, hi mate, I can help you with that? Buddy Murphy. Are you kidding me? Now Seth did look at him and shooed him away because he wanted none of this, but did anyone mention where he's been? No. Did anyone mention his relationship with Rey Mysterio's daughter? No. We're all just meant to forget that this has happened, like Will Smith popped into screen with that flashy thingy, twang, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, I don't remember when it happened. And look, it's great he's back. Buddy Murphy is absolutely brilliant and should be featured in a major role, but this is just ridiculous. Nobody can get away with this kind of thing, and therefore it has to get it down. We then had a reverse distraction win. I don't know what that means, but up. Now firstly, I cannot believe that we are doing Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks round 2 at Fastlane. Steve, even though I get it, we've got to test out Peacock before WrestleMania, Gary, but still, like I mentioned at the start of this thing, it's just right in the way, and now we book in random matches. It did mean that we had Bianca versus Baszler here, but it was pretty good. Shayna Baszler was going after Bianca Belair's arm, but she's really powerful, so she kept powering out of things. And of course, we had Nia Jax at ringside, we had Sasha Banks at ringside, and sooner rather than later, there was Reggie. He was being shoved around by Nia Jax and Sasha Banks at one point, and he caused a right fracas. And because Bianca Belair is a wrestler and something was happening outside the ring, she also forgot she was in a wrestling match, and of course, she was distracted. I mean, WWE needs to get like a focal coach in there and say, this is how you focus on one thing, ignore everything around you. Thankfully though, it didn't end how you think it would have done because of that. Shayna Baszler went for the Kirifuda clutch, but once again, Bianca Belair powered out of it, she hit the KOD and she won. So I was like, well, that's okay. As long as she doesn't lose, I'll be a happy chap. It counts though. Bring it back 3 in one show. 3. Up to 35. Roman Reigns was then talking to Jey Uso, and I feel so sorry for Jey Uso's brain, because Roman was like, look, here's the deal. Just go out and win later, so I don't have to defend my title at Fastlane, because if you lose, not only have you let yourself down, but you've also let the family down. I mean, I swear, this guy, why the hell would you want to hang around with him? He's such a downer. We then just did have a match between Cesaro and Buddy Murphy, and once again, nobody told me what the hell had happened. Like, Buddy Murphy had been found in a hole and we'd rescued him, and Buddy was like, please don't tell anyone, mate, that I fell down a hole. However, it was Cesaro versus Buddy Murphy. It clearly gets it up. Rollins was on commentary and said that Cesaro was never going to give him the big swing again. So there's a match stipulation right there. And while we kind of did cut away to the commentary table a little bit too much, back in the ring, Buddy Murphy gave such a crazy dive to Cesaro, WWE probably got a call from NASA afterwards and they were all pissed off. He then followed up with a Meteora. Buddy Murphy is a very good professional wrestler. He was never going to win for obvious reasons, so eventually he did get big swung as Seth Rollins was going nuts at the announce table and then tapped out after the sharpshooter. And Michael Cole was like a future seer person here. He went, oh, Buddy Murphy's tapped out. And then 6 seconds later, Buddy Murphy tapped out. How did he know? Just to add a little bit of extra intrigue, Seth Rollins got up afterwards and was clapping Cesaro like, oh man, Cesaro, you're the best person ever. Because of course he's terrified of the Swiss Superman and doesn't want to have his ass kicked. But I think it's very clear that we are doing Seth versus Cesaro at WrestleMania, and you can sign me up for that. And then once again, poor Reginald. He was backstage and he knocked on Sasha Banks' locker room and she just opened the door and went, no! And then she closed it. What if the question was, hey Sasha, would you like $1 million? Now you're gonna feel kind of silly. When he was walking away all forlorn too, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler turned up and Shayna was all like, oh man, you smell a failure. I'm like, that's not very nice. And then from nowhere, Nia went, Shane, you should shut up. I think he's kind of cute. And I was like, oh no, this is the direction we're gonna go in and I'm gonna have to take my hand and just push it into my face. I do like Reginald though. I have absolutely no idea why, but he has won me over. And then Apollo Crews, my word, Apollo Crews. For like the last 5 years, we've all been saying Apollo Crews needs something, Apollo Crews has to do something, and he has found it, and he has taken a baseball bat, and he has smashed it right out of the park. Look at that ball go up. And it must have been inspired by that chat he had with Roman Reigns a few weeks ago, because he has now embraced his family roots and walked to the ring with 2 soldiers by his side. But he losing his damn mind. He also told us this is the real Apollo Crews, and surprise, surprise, some people don't like it, but he's been dealing with that his entire life. And yes, the entire time he talked with a Nigerian accent, but come on now, you can see this multiple ways. One, you could actually listen to the words that came out of his mouth when he said, I'm not gonna hide who I am anymore, I'm embracing my ancestry, and I am going to be the proud Nigerian I was born to be. Or 2, you can add a little bit of a subplot in there and go, Apollo Crews has gone so crazy, he now turned into Batman. Because he is so off the deep end, he has convinced himself this is who he is. He is a Nigerian prince, a Nigerian king, and he deserves every single accolade and Big East Intercontinental Championship. And when it comes to the Dark Knight, it's a similar thing. Because it's not Batman who wears the mask, it's Bruce Wayne, and Batman is like the manifestation of all the angry feelings he has deep inside after his parents got killed. I have no idea how he got here, but the point is, Apollo Crews is brilliant. This new version of Apollo Crews rocks. Apparently it was all his idea. He is doing a great job with it. And yeah, he wants to challenge Biggie for the IC title. It should happen at WrestleMania, and Apollo Crews should win. There was also a promo where a wrestler went, you people don't respect me, you people don't like me. And rather than sound stereotypical or boring, I believe every word that came out of his mouth. So it's just a round of applause for Mr. Crews. We then had another mad backstage segment because a boat and a mean person went to Adam Pearce and they said, hey, why aren't we in a tag team match at Fastlane? And Adam Pearce said, because I'm in charge, you better go and deal with it. And after he left, Sonya Deville said, just so you know, I would have booked it a different way. So now I'm going to presume probably post-Mania, Adam Pearce will be in charge of Raw, Sonya Deville will be in charge of SmackDown. That kind of makes sense. There was then some more sympathy on the program, but this time for Jey Uso, because he was meant to be having an interview with Kayla Braxton when Daniel Bryan just beat him up. But I tell you, Jey Uso did get a few words in there. He was so good here. He was like, I don't care about no cage. I don't care about Daniel Bryan. Also penitentiary. I really like Jey Uso. Ding Dong Hello was then back, and this is my brand new WWE guilty pleasure. I think is great. Up. This version of Bayley just rocks too. She was reading out mean tweets here because that's what all the good talk shows does. And while her first two were just nice things about her, when she read the third one, clearly it said something horrible. So she screwed up her cards and she stormed off. And you know where she stormed off to? She went through her fake door. I don't know why that fake door makes me laugh so much, but I love the idea that someone is so enraged, but because they've committed to using this stupid thing, they're still going to use this stupid thing. Bayley also said that an episode of Ding Dong Hello should main event WrestleMania, and given that there are 2 nights, I'm going to say we should do it. Also, I need Billie Kay on this thing, and I need her to be Bayley's sidekick, and I need this yesterday. And as for that cage match, just excellent, excellent stuff. Roman and Paul Heyman were also out here to watch it firsthand, and there was this amazing moment when Paul Heyman realized there was no chair, so he just freaked out and ran around and found a chair for Roman to sit in, so he didn't go around and start stabbing everyone. Back in the ring too, Daniel Bryan and Jay Uso were just destroying each other. There was no grappling, there was no wrestling holds. It was just taking each other's head and slamming it into the steel cage because they don't like each other and they ain't buds. Daniel Bryan was making a real concerted effort to get the hell out of there, so Jey Uso had to stop him. And at one point they were fighting on top of the cage, they were fighting on the top rope, people were being crotched onto the ropes going, ow, my penis. This had everything. There was also this great subplot here too, because while Jey Uso was quite aggressive in the beginning, when he realized that there was a chance he may lose, he too then tried to escape, because of course, if he doesn't, Roman Reigns is gonna be really mad at him, more mad at him, and none of us want that. Unfortunately, it didn't work though, because Daniel Bryan was focused on Jey Uso's arm, and at one point he took it, rammed it into the cage over and over, and applied the yes lock. Now, using his instincts, Jey got to the ropes, but it's a cage match, my friend. That doesn't mean nothing, and because he didn't want to fall apart, he had to tap out. And my word, later on, he's probably going to be chopped up into pieces. Roman looked on like somebody had just told him that a new chair tax was going to be introduced, and Daniel Bryan celebrated on top of the cage. And yes, at Fastlane, Steve, we are actually getting Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal title, which is a rematch from Fastlane 2015. And it's probably going to have the same outcome, but maybe, just maybe, Daniel Bryan wins. He ain't gonna win. Still though, I thought it was yet another good episode of Smackdown. I'm enjoying all the stories. They are actually making a decent attempt to turn Fastlane into something, even though it's only 3 weeks before WrestleMania, so I shall give it an up. Now don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Smackdown, and like the video, share the video, and subscribe. WhatCulture.com will keep you up to date with all wrestling news. Follow us on social media, that's just what we do in 2021. And while you are here, click on another video and have some fun. My name is Simon for WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me as always. I'll see you on the next one.